Pack it up, pack it in, let us begin. Coming to you live tonight here from the beautiful Bill Austin Radio Studio, downtown Phoenix, Arizona. You know it, folks. It's the 3 for 60 crew. It's a Wednesday. It's bottom of the 6th. I'm AJ Gonsalves today, joined by Sebastian Fryer, Trevor Cox. Plenty to get to, but first we got to do our introductions on this wonderful Wednesday. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
I'm having a good Wednesday. Cannot really complain so far.
I got Pat Surtain to my left, Mr. Rip Valley right in front of me. Can it get any better than that? It's a beautiful Wednesday. It is game day here today for Boss basketball. Let's just get right into it. It's all vibes up.
Rundown of the show today. It is vibes up today, and the Ravens are the rebuild. So Sebastian Fryer, the final third of third teams that we've done here for rebuilds that are hometown for us. We'll get to that today. We'll do that second. We want to do March Madness first. We'll break down what the final was and, how things maybe could have been a little better there for Houston. But Ravens rebuild, and then it's really open form and open season. So whatever you guys want to hit on, we can today. So let's start it out. March Madness. Give me some thoughts, guys. The champions, the world champions, the Florida Gators. They chop onto a championship, knocking down the Houston Cougars. Trevor, give me your thoughts, man.
Honestly, I just thought it was over at a point where Florida was, but Houston just kept fighting, stayed in that game, came down to the last possession. They just couldn't get the shot off. But this was an absolutely fantastic national championship game, followed by the 2 great Final Four games. So people were saying, yeah, it's chalky, but we're going to have a great Final Four and championship game. They were right. That was absolutely phenomenal. Walter Clayton Jr. came through, and Florida needed him the most, as he has throughout this tournament. Didn't have his greatest performance on Monday night, but he still looked good. Still think he's going to get drafted very highly because of this tournament run. But overall, congratulations to Florida. Do feel bad for Kelvin Sampson, though, man. This really felt like the year that he could get it done.
One of the best Final Fours really in tournament history, just hands down. Outstanding games. All 3 of them were pretty much down to the wire and came down to some crucial plays down the stretch. This game, not different whatsoever. Florida, it's just a story of the tournament, right? We just write them off. It looks like Houston's, rolling through that game. They're looking good. They're looking strong. Boom, Florida makes a run. They're right back in it. Came down right to the wire. Florida made some big-time plays, some fouls. I hate when basketball because it just feels like these refs down the stretch play with the whistle in their mouth, ready to call anything. Yeah. But once again, fouls a big storyline. Florida was able to crank through some big-time free throws by Martin, and then they were able pretty much to seal the game with their defense. They were pretty much a swarm Houston. In that final play, Sharp had a chance. The shot was going to get blocked, so he just dropped it. But it looked like in that final play, no one really knew what was going on until Florida basically saw the ball on the ground and say, hey, it's a free ball. Let me go grab it. And then it was game over. Unfortunate story for Houston. Coach Sampson, they do have one of the best recruiting classes in the country coming in. But once again, you really can't rely on freshmen just to really carry you towards a tournament like this with no experience whatsoever. So Houston, can they be back? Absolutely. But it's just going to take a lot because this team had experience in it. You talked about LJ Cryer had a chance to win a national championship. Exactly. But LJ Cryer had a chance to win a national championship with 2 separate teams. Obviously could not get the job done, but it was about the championship pedigree that Houston team had. They had a lot of experience in it. That experience, a lot of it is fading away. Youngsters coming in, they'll be back, but definitely a lot of question marks for them. As for Florida, congratulations to them. I think the depth was outstanding. The defense was outstanding. I feel like that team just really ran through very well. Every single piece of adversity that came their way, they simply had an answer to it, get a run from themselves. Even when Walter Clayton Jr., man, I thought really Walter Clayton Jr. was a guy that was going to put that team on his back. And, when things aren't going well, they need Clayton to play well. It really wasn't particularly true in the national championship. Just an all-around team effort for Florida and well-deserved. I think they were probably the best team in the country all year long. And, you got to beat the best to be the best. And they took out Auburn, they took out Houston, and they're the national champs.
Okay, all right, that's the March Madness breakdown from us. Let's get to the rebuild, boys. Baltimore Ravens, the team at the bank. So Baltimore Ravens, frustrating loss last year in the divisional round to the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen got the better of Mr. Lamar Jackson, but I'm sure
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews got the best of it. One was the big winner, dropping that football in the end zone there for the Ravens. But nonetheless, we'll do our Ravens rebuild. They're picking 27 in the draft. There's going to be a lot of chips on shoulders there in Maryland. Derrick Henry back, Lamar Jackson there. They picked up DeAndre Hopkins, so lots to get to. Gentlemen, how would you rebuild the Baltimore Ravens? Why don't we start out today with Mr. Raven himself, Sebastian Fryer?
Well, I mean, a lot of things obviously went right for the Ravens last season, specifically on the offensive side of the football. They do have a lot of playmakers there. I think Zay Flowers going down definitely stunk it up a little bit because it definitely misses dynamic playmaking in the playoffs. But I like Rashad Bateman a lot as a number 2. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a steady red zone weapon they got there. They got likely. Looks like Mark Andrews will return. He's also a very good tight end still in the NFL despite those crucial plays he made against the Bills that ended up costing them the game, but he's still a very good football player. I'm not going to let that get in the way of that. Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, I think that's a very good running back room. No additions really necessary there. Really offensively, if you're looking at something you have to patch up, is the interior offensive line. You like your tackles for Ronnie Stanley. They signed him to a really nice contract based on what Dan Moore Jr. got in free agency, so he's back. You also got on the other side, Rosengarten, the kid out of Washington. We drafted him last year, second round. He's come in.
From Colorado.
There you go, Trevor. The Colorado lineman. They're just different. Something about him. He came in, played phenomenal as a rookie, so you got your tackle set. Linderbaum, he's been an outstanding center for us really throughout his whole career as a Raven. And once again, the guards are the questions. They probably want to do a little battle on one side with Falele in there. You also had Voorhees, and then the other one you probably want to draft. So they'll probably address the guard need as early as even the first round. I could see if a guy like Booker falls, the Jackson kid out of Ohio State maybe, or they could probably wait till day 2 because there's a lot of depth in the interior. Defensively, though, in my opinion, there needs to be a need for edge rusher, and that would be the place that I would go first round with the Ravens. I think it is a very deep class. You're going to get some good value there, especially because I just have a slight suspicion that one of these guys is going to fall, whether it is James Pierce Jr., whether it's Mike Green. One of those guys is just going to end up slipping enough for the Ravens just really to get them without even having to trade up, which I think would be phenomenal. And if one of those guys falls to you, the Ravens, I think, should just run that card up because I think edge rusher, big need. Cal Van Noy, he's obviously, in the later parts, getting towards the middle parts of the 30s. So he's not going to be playing forever. You have the other side of Odafe Oweh. He's entering a contract year. David Ojabo, that pick really hasn't worked out. So I think edge rusher, getting pressure to the quarterback is a big thing for the Ravens that they really have struggled to do in big-time situations, in big-time games. I think hitting a dominant pass rusher is a must-need. Maybe another linebacker alongside Roquan Smith. It really missed Patrick Queen last year a lot of the time. They had guys rotating in and out. Trent Simpson at one point got benched, so maybe getting another linebacker in there. Apparently they're going to give Trent Simpson another look, but definitely some insurance policy could be a need. And then in the secondary, we dig in there. Cal Hamilton, normally he likes to play in the box, out. You like to move him all over the place. Obviously that couldn't be the case because of Marcus Williams and his poor play last year. He's gone. You have Arterius Washington still there. A little bit of an unresolved situation, but I do anticipate he's going to be a Raven next year. But you probably want to draft another safety. I think that's another situation. If Nick Minori falls, if Malachi Starks falls, I think that's another situation the Ravens could run that card up, take a safety in that spot because you want to move Calvin Noy all over the place. Or cornerback. They did go cornerback last draft. I don't think they'll do it again this draft. They did get Awuzie from the Titans to be probably the Brandon Stevens replacement. Do you think they probably want to add another corner maybe later in the draft? You got Nate Wiggins there, the guy they drafted last year, and obviously Marlon Humphrey still playing at a very high level. So I think overall from the Ravens, it's all about just adding depth. I think they have starting caliber players in every single position, but just shoring up those needs and players who are playing at a good level but not elite level and just bringing in some more competition is what the Ravens can do to just make themselves even better in terms of trying to get to the AFC Championship back there and even towards a potential Super Bowl.
I definitely agree with Sebastian here. I mean, he pointed out a lot of it. It really feels like nitpicking when we're talking about needs for this Ravens roster because they really do have serviceable players everywhere. But if I had to look at a big need on the defensive side of the ball, I would just really have to echo what you said about edge pressure. Yeah, Kyle Van Noy was cool, but he's getting up there in age. Other than that, it's a whole bunch of swing and miss draft picks. Even Adisa Isaac is still in that room. Hasn't really turned out to be much. So I think I would like the BC edge rusher, Donovan.
Donovan as a rookie, man.
As a rookie.
Baller.
Yeah, I would like him to the Ravens at 27. That makes sense to me. I would also like interior offensive line, specifically guard. Linderbaum's awesome, but those two guards are questionable at times. Andrew Voorhees was pretty bad at times last year. Falele's big, but sometimes that's all he really is. So I think those are the two biggest needs for the Ravens heading into the draft.
Okay, I'm not going to restate the same points. I like Donovan as a rookie, man. BC, Eagles fly, man.
That guy too.
So I think he'd be a good pick there for you guys at 27. So, all right, Baltimore Ravens rebuild. Done skis. Okay. This is now really open forum. I mean, I'll start. I've got something that's on my mind today. It's about Steelers linebacker T.J. Watt. We're a heavy football show, so why don't I dig into him? Today, Steelers fans, a little stirred up. T.J. Watt held up two fingers, like a peace sign, As the kids would say nowadays, it's the deuces. So, a lot of people think he wants to leave. I don't think that's it at all. I think this is all about money. Myles Garrett just got an absolute bag. This year, T.J. Watt is on the books for $21.5 million. This is the time for T.J. Watt to get his money. 1 year left on his deal. He's going to get his money. The Steelers are going to have to pay him. That's the big question. Do the Steelers want to pay him? They absolutely should. He is a premier edge or linebacker in football. He can really play anywhere you want him to. I love the guy. I would pay him. I don't think this is a hard one at all, especially for an edge rusher like him. There's only like a handful of guys who are even comparable to him. So I think T.J. Watt should get paid. He's got $21 million on his deal. He's going to get paid. It's just a question of, does he get more than Myles Garrett, which I think he will. So I think T.J. Watt is going to get more than Myles Garrett. The Steelers should absolutely pay him. No excuses for cheaping out. And a lot of people think that he wants out for some reason. I don't think he wants out. He wants money. That's what this whole thing's about with T.J. Watt. So still, people somehow don't grasp the concept of NFL players in the final years of their deal wanting money not to be traded. I just don't. I don't get the correlation that people still are having issues with this concept when time and time and time again that players in the last years of their deal maybe would request a trade, but if you pay them, they'll stay. They'll stay and take the money. Just a hint of advice as we inch closer towards the draft. And there's a lot of other players who are in the similar boat. T.J. Watt will get the money. That's my big thing.
I agree. I think there's no way he doesn't get the money. I think it'll probably be somewhere close to Garrett, probably like 41, just so he gets paid a little more annually. If I'm the Steelers, I'm trying to make this maybe a 3, max 4-year contract. I don't want to extend him for 5 years just because I feel like then he's getting into his mid-30s and the production could really not be there for the money you're paying him. But other than that, you got to pay him.
I mean, look, T.J. Watt, obviously, when he's at his best, could arguably be the best defensive player in all of football, and he absolutely does deserve the bag. He's up there with Myles Garrett. Really, it's been a big debate in the AFC North. Who's better, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt? I think you can pick either side, and you can definitely make your strong points. Can T.J. Watt get paid more than Myles Garrett? Absolutely, I could see it, and the Steelers should do it. I think the Watt brother and the Watt family seems like a pretty loyal family themselves, and I think T.J. Watt really was born to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I hate to say it because the guy is so good, but he just really embraces being a Steeler, and I think the whole fan base really loves T.J. Watt overall
100%.
as a Steeler. It's kind of the identity of that Steelers fan base and that Steeler brand of football. When you think of Steeler-type football, it is T.J. Watt. That's the exact player you want. Same thing with Cam Hayward. So overall, yes, you should pay T.J. Watt whatever money he wants, and obviously, it's the NFL. It's not the MLB. It's not the NBA. It's not these other sports. NFL injuries happen, especially those gruesome injuries. All of a sudden, T.J. Watt goes out and plays on last year of his deal, gets a gruesome injury. There goes all his money. There goes all the guaranteed money. All of a sudden, teams don't want to pay him the historic contract. So T.J. Watt absolutely should not step on a football field until the Steelers pay him the money he deserves because he's been so loyal to that team or an organization overall, and he's produced so much over the years that I have no idea why that deal is not done yet.
Especially when they just paid DK Metcalf, who's never even played a down for the Pittsburgh Steelers, when you have Watt, who's one of the best defenders in the game, unquestionably.
In their franchise history, one of the best defensive players for them.
Yeah.
I think there's a long lineage of great defensive players. I'd have to think
Top
about it.
five.
But
I think he's on that list. I'm not going to say exactly where he ranks, but I think he's definitely one of the best defensive players in their franchise history.
yeah, for sure. You're not going to get that debate from me. All right. Trevor, you got something on your mind, man?
I mean, I'm just checking out the app here, the sports app. Man, Luka is back in Dallas for the first time tonight. That's a bit of an NBA storyline. I believe he has 38 points right now.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is just going off. I believe he almost got ejected for yelling at a fan as well.
Again?
NBA's really getting down to the wire here, so I'm going to use that as a bit of a segue. Do you guys have any general NBA thoughts? Maybe who you think can really contend for the title? Maybe you guys have thoughts on the Nuggets firings.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on the Nuggets
Yeah, we
fire.
haven't talked about it. Go ahead,
yeah.
Trevor.
All right, I mean, I'll dig right into it. I mean, basically from the reports I've been reading is that Nico Harrison and Mike Malone just absolutely, or not Nico Harrison, sorry. Calvin Booth and Mike Malone absolutely despised each other. Like, they would go, weeks and even months without talking to each other. And that's just a problem. When the guy calling the shots and the guy that is supposed to be orchestrating the X's and O's cannot talk to each other and they hate each other, that's a massive problem. I mean, it got to a boiling point this season. I saw a report from a Denver beat writer that Calvin Booth was really mad at Mike Malone for playing Russell Westbrook over Jalen Pickett. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Calvin Booth wants to develop all these young players, keep all these picks, draft all these guys, and he's just not doing a good enough job to put the players and defenders around Jokic. I think that's been clear the past 2 years, ever since the title run. So I definitely don't mind getting him out. I think 3 games before the playoffs really just kills your chance of any type of title run, regardless of if you have the best player in the world. I like Edelman, who's the assistant we hired. Apparently he's super highly regarded around the league and was going to get some head coaching offers this offseason. Some are saying this is maybe a move to try to keep him in-house. Maybe we can bring him back after this 3 games, the final, 5 games, and then playoff series. So, overall, I think it's good direction for the Nuggets. The timing just makes absolutely 0 sense to me.
Well, copying the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm not going to say it's a positive thing necessarily, but, the Denver Nuggets are Nikola Jokic. I'm not going to sugarcoat that whatsoever. He's the reason why the Nuggets are relevant. He's the reason why the Nuggets have a championship. Yeah. I think the big thing that's really messed up the Nuggets these last couple of years and why they really haven't been able to replicate that championship success is because they're too reliant on Jamal Murray being that co-star to Nikola Jokic. 100%. I feel like Jamal Murray hasn't really lived up to the hype after they won that championship. He's been in and out of the lineup. He's been injured. So I think that's really hurt the Nuggets, especially then, all of a sudden you make, Michael Porter Jr. probably your second best player on the team.
Yeah, and that guy's getting paid way too much.
And that guy really, he's there to just make threes. Let's be real. That's why he's there for.
Spacing.
So, exactly. So I think Nikola Jokic, probably the first thing you got to do when you bring in a new Nuggets GM is you got to get him a new co-star. I like Jamal Murray. We'll see what he does in this playoff run. But I just feel like that championship magic that Nuggets had a couple years ago, I just think it's time to refresh things a little bit, get Jokic's input on it, and I think it might be time to pull the trigger and try to maybe ship out Jamal Murray and try to get someone new in there.
I 100% agree. So, I'm looking at Trae Young.
Could be something that's really interesting, and especially Trae Young with his passing abilities alongside Jokic. I feel like that would be a really fun matchup that you can really pair those two guys together. But yeah, that's kind of the boat I'm on right now. Now, the big storyline in the NBA is obviously these late season coaching firings. And really, you have your assistant there. He knows the Michael Malone system, so I just don't think too much is going to change for the Nuggets. So I really wouldn't hit the panic button on that. When you have 2 grown adults who can't talk to each other, I feel like they both kind of deserve to be fired.
100%.
You have to do your job properly, and if you really can't put your differences aside to try to win a championship, then you're both a bunch of babies.
The best player in the world, yeah.
Especially, you're just both simply babies, and both of them are very replaceable. I'm sorry to say, but the only person not replaceable in that organization is Nikola Jokic. So don't try to make yourself more important. It's his fault. No, it's his fault. No, just work together like grown men. You have the best player in the world on your team. Try to work together and win a proper championship. And also, as a GM, let your coach, all right? You give him the pieces. If he wants to play Russell Westbrook, well, you hired him. Let him play Russell Westbrook.
Jokic asked for the GM to sign Westbrook, and then he wants the coach to play Jalen Pickett over him. What are we doing? Do we want to make him unhappy? Do we want to make him request a trade? I don't get it.
Look, GMs, they set up the team, and once you set up the team, let the coach because that's who you hired and that's who you trust to coach the team. So you should have really not too much input based on that. Michael Malone should be able to do whatever he wants, but they're both gone now, and I really don't think of the Nuggets too differently. Once again, you have the assistant in there. He's been there all year, so I don't think the game plan is really going to change too much.
For us last year.
Exactly. So I'm really excited to see if maybe this energizes or bolsters the Nuggets. We'll see Jamal Murray should be returning to the lineup pretty soon as the playoffs quickly approach us here within the next week.
Before the end of the year.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens with the Nuggets. I think everything's really up in the air in the NBA. I feel like both in the East and the West, there's multiple teams that can definitely make some noise. You obviously have your favorites in mind, like the Celtics and the Cavs in the East and then the Thunder in the West. But I think the playoffs should be kind of interesting when you start it basically in the second round when all these big-time teams start facing off against each other. That's overall my playoff thoughts in the NBA. I feel like it's a lot of let's sit back and wait and see because the regular season in the NBA simply is so hard to tell who's good and who's not, who's for real, who's for not because so many guys sit games. Sometimes you just go out there and start trying new things in and out, and really you don't get a true grasp of who's good and who's not.
I think it's funny that Luka Doncic goes back to Dallas and is going to put up almost 40 points. That's just funny to me. I find that to be extremely comical. Nico Harrison, this is one of the biggest clowns of all time, shaping up to arguably be the worst general manager of all time. When you look at what he did to that Dallas Mavericks team, letting go of Jalen Brunson, being a little cheap with him, not just paying him whatever he wanted. Luka Doncic somehow not being able to get a guy like Austin Reeves for him. Like I don't understand how that the whole thing happened. Like you got Anthony Davis, great. They couldn't give you Austin Reeves on top of it. Brian Windhorst brought this up on ESPN this week, and I applaud him for it. That's just ridiculous that they couldn't get Austin Reeves. Like you could have easily
they didn't even shop. We've talked about this.
Yeah, we have.
They didn't even shop him.
It's crazy. Crazy. And it serves him right that Anthony Davis, I don't wish a guy's hurt, to be hurt at all. I'm glad that the Mavericks stink because this there's no more superstar trading in the NBA, and I think that's a good thing, especially for chump change, which is what they got with this. I'm sorry, and I love Anthony Davis. I think he's fantastic, but let's face it, he's a broken down piece of glass, not the same player he once was. He's not in his prime. Luka Doncic, arguably, not even in his prime yet. Arguable. So it's still mind numbing. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. So that's about it for playoffs. Like the NBA playoffs are just not I'm not getting excited for this at all. And I'm a Celtics fan.
Listen,
I'm a Celtics fan.
I like the playoffs, but I feel like the first round's really the play-in and the first round are really not.
The play-in's coming up this week, upcoming.
I just don't really care.
I'll say this about the NBA playoffs: they should not be 2 months long. There should be no league that makes their playoffs 2 months long. It really doesn't make sense. Maybe hockey is a difference maker because obviously anyone can win, but the NBA first round feels like such a waste of time, especially in the 100%. Eastern Conference where half of the teams just stink.
Just
all right,
put it to 5 games.
I'm gonna put it out here. The Indiana Pacers stink. The Milwaukee Bucks stink. The Atlanta Hawks stink. So all you guys that like to argue, who's better, who's better? No one cares who's better because clearly the Knicks, Cavaliers, and Celtics are in a league of their own in the Eastern Conference.
Celtics
all right,
and Cavs are
especially
the Knicks.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree with that. So stop talking about these other relevant teams in the East that have no shot at making it out unless these injuries all of a sudden start taking place like it did last year. But in the West, obviously, that's maybe some more excitement can build up there because there's a lot of stars that are definitely in contention for the playoffs, but that's basically the NBA playoffs. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what gets heated, what's good and what's not. We'll find out when we get there.
Well, I'll add on to that. I mean, Pistons and Magic aren't ready yet. Hawks, Bulls, Heat, unwatchable. I cannot watch Miami Heat basketball with Andrew Wiggins out there. I can't do it.
Break, man.
I absolutely cannot do it. The West, at least, there's a watchability factor, but even then, are the Clippers going to win anything? No, they're not. Let's cut to the chase, guys.
First round.
Yeah. They're not winning anything. Are the Memphis Grizzlies going to win anything? No, cut to the chase. They're not. Are the Timberwolves winning anything? No, let's cut to the chase.
I mean, they could win a series, but they're not doing anything.
Exactly. Now we're Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle out there.
Yeah. So right now the Mavericks are a playing team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they are.
That's awful.
Yes.
Awful. I would be. I'm not going to watch it. I'm just not going to watch the product. I'd rather watch regular season baseball than playing games that don't matter.
I mean, listen, God forbid the Nuggets fall in the play-in, then I will not be watching.
I don't blame you. I think the Nuggets. You're good. You have Jokic. You're fine. You're 47-32. Don't worry about the play-in. You're good.
Well, I don't know, man. Look at those Western Conference standings. We drop one tonight to the Kings.
And if you even get to the play-in, you're gonna destroy whoever you play. I don't even think it's worth the radio time, honestly.
Yes,
so
that's fair.
Honestly, that's where the NBA is. I heard something about the Patriots that's a little upsetting to me. Jalen Walker at 4. This is the indication. Mike Giardi, NFL Network, Boston Sports Journal collabed on a report saying that Jalen Walker has a lot of fans over at One Patriot Place in Foxborough, and they are maybe interested in taking him at pick 4. Let me tell you how angry I would be if that happened. This has to be a smokescreen. It has to be. There's no other way around it. This guy is not even close to being a top 4 projected pick. This would be an absolute reach and a colossal failure of epic proportions if the Patriots were to absolutely engage in any of this. Jalen Walker, the only way you can convince me of Jalen Walker is if you trade down, you get multiple picks, you move down to take Jalen Walker. Unacceptable if they take him at 4. I'll put it on the record now. Unacceptable. If they take Jalen Walker at 4, I will take a flight. I will leave Phoenix in the Sky Harbor Airport over here. I will take a flight right down to Gillette Stadium. I will land right on the turf, and I will go soul-searching for Elliot Wolf. That would be a mistake. He would want to be the Wolf on Wall Street, and he'd want to hide in a dark, dark room. Because if I found him and they took Jalen Walker at 4, oh my, no. Don't even get me started on Jalen Walker at 4. Please, no. Don't do that. Trade down, then I'll talk. Not at 4. No way. That's ridiculous. And again, I hate to keep bringing up this point, All because they won a meaningless game in Week 18. I missed out on generational talent, and I am stuck thinking, even, getting reports on April 9th, 2025, as we inch closer and closer to the draft, that they might just pull one of the biggest reaches in the draft and take Jalen Walker at 4. Yeah, awesome. I'm in a great spot as a Patriots fan. Whoop-de-doo. We have a weak schedule coming up. Could you imagine Travis Hunter on my team? I can't now because he's not going to be there. Or could you imagine Abdul Carter on my team wreaking havoc as an edge rusher, who someone in this building actually said has the brain of Johnny Manziel, which is one of the worst takes I've ever heard. Abdul Carter would be a superstar of the Patriots. He'd be a superstar. I would buy the jersey so fast, it's not even funny. I would go on the Fanatics, pay the $250 that Michael Rubin wants to scam me on, and I would buy the Abdul Carter jersey. I'm just disappointed that this report is even out there in the ecosphere of reports.
I mean, yeah, I would have to agree. If I was a Patriots fan, I don't know if I'd be livid, but that's definitely a reach. I agree. That feels like a trade down player. I mean, his range, maybe I feel like his ceiling is like 8, maybe. I mean, 4 is just insanity.
Well, look, it's something about those Georgia defensive players that teams just love to reach on. We saw it with Trayvon Walker a couple years ago where the Jaguars just take him at number 1.
He's a good player.
He's good.
No
player.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Is he better than Aiden Hutchinson? Is he a number 1 overall pick? No, he's not. But he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player for taking in the late first round or mid first round, but not number 1 overall. Same thing with Jalen Walker. Nice little player. Number 4 overall, absolutely not. I think it's just, we saw a smoke screen. I mean, there was rumors that Will Levis was going to go number 1 of the Panthers a couple years ago, so don't worry, AJ, honestly. It's just rumor season because right now what's going on in the NFL? Absolutely nothing. It is just rumors, rumblings that people just trying to pick at absolutely anything just to get people talking, chatting. They got you chatting, so technically they won with the whole Jalen Walker thing. But who knows, honestly. Teams really are very secretive at this point of the year because they don't want to hint or tip picks. But really, anything can happen. If that does end up happening, it is malfunction because you got to trade back at that spot. But there's so many different players the Patriots could take at that spot, so I can see why it's a debate.
Incompetent organizations cause panic. That's all I'm going to say. In any form of life, whether it's sports, politics, you name it. Wherever you want it to be, incompetence causes panic. That's the one thing. That's my takeaway from this show. Guys, let's give a rundown to the folks here. Coming up, Friday, we were back, Spotify, 3 for 60. That's coming up. Monday, Spotify, podcast, episode. We're going to sneak in a mock draft in there, and we're going to get our friend Aiden Bernstein to hop on the show at some point.
Yes,
I don't know if that'll be next Monday or next Friday, but stay tuned. We've got plenty of more great takes to put out into the stratosphere, but for now, the mic's going to get cut off. I need some time to rethink about Jalen Walker at 4. Oh, God, that would be terrible. All right, let's wrap this thing up, boys.
From Trevor Cox.
Sebastian Fryer.
I'm AJ Gonzalez saying so long from the desert. We'll see you next week right here on Blaze Radio.